For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a half a skein of Lion Brand's Pound of Love in the color lavender. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There's also a written pattern that can help out too. Link in the description if you'd like to grab that and follow along. Watch to the end of the video to find out how to enter this week's giveaway. We're using 7 stitches for this project and it will be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, double treble crochet. This tutorial is for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting started on this top, we're first going to grab our category 4 yarn, make a slip knot. We're going to grab our 6mm hook and we're going to start off by making our cable, so everyone is going to start off by making a chain of 7. Once we have our chain out of 7, we are going to block off that last chain. We're going to do a chain up of 2 on top of that. That counts as a half double crochet. We're going to prepare for a half double crochet, and then into that loop that we blocked off with our fingers, or the third loop from our hook, we're going to go in with 1 half double crochet into each loop. So let's do the next half double crochet together really quickly. We're just going to yarn over, insert our hook into that next available loop in our chain. We're going to yarn over, pull through that loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and then keep putting 1 half double crochet into every loop. Once we make it to the end, we will going to do another chain up of 2 and then another row of half double crochets. So let's just stick with each other really quickly because we are very, very close to being there. There we go, we got 2 more. There we go. And then once when we have our first row of half double crochet, we're going to go in with just 1 more. So we're going to do a chain up of 2, that counts as a half double crochet. We will flip our work, prepare for a half double, and then into that same loop that our chain is currently in, we're going to insert our hook into there. That counts as 1. Just count this together, I guess, 2. There is 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And we now have our first 2 rows of our cabling stitch section. So we're now ready to get started on our 3rd row, and all that is our first row of double treble crochets. So that's going to help us with our cabling. So let's just get that started. Once we get the first row started of the cable section, it gets a lot easier, I promise. But we're going to do a chain out of 2, that counts as a half double crochet. We're going to flip our work, prepare for a half double, go into that same loop that our chain is in, pull through 2. Then once we get here, our double treble crochet is actually going to be a yarn over of 3. So here's 1, 2, 3. Once we have that, we're going to go all the way down to that first row of half double crochets that we made, and then we're going to count out until we get to the 4th post. So this counts as 1, 2, 3, and then into that 4th, we're going to be doing a front post double treble crochet. Yeah, okay, so let's do that together. It's just like a regular front post anything. We're just going to be inserting our hook behind that post and then bringing it through the other side. From there, we're going to yarn over, pull through that 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is our first front post double treble crochet. And then let's do 1 more right next to it. So it's going to be 1 more into that 5th post that we have. So yarn over 1, 2, 3 times. Into that next post that we have, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that post, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And then once when we have that, we're going to be doing 2 double treble crochets into the 2nd and the 3rd. So we're actually going to be working backwards into these 2 that we have skipped. And that's going to help us form our crisscross. So it's going to be basically the same thing. We're going to yarn over 3 times and then into that second one that we have. So basically where our first front post double treble crochet is, I can't say it, where our first front post double treble crochet is, We're going to count backwards. Here's 1, here's 2. We're going to just go into that second one that's away from the first one. I'm going to try to avoid saying it as much as possible. But we're going to go into that post. We're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. There's our first crisscross, I guess what we're going to call it. And then we have just one more to go into. So yarn over 3 times, then into that post that's right in between. We just got one left. Pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And that is the first little bit. We still have a little bit left to go into our cable, but this is starting to look like something. It's starting to look a little fancy. But once we get here, we're just going to do a regular treble crochet into these 2 posts that we have right here. So into the last 2 posts. So we're going to be doing a yarn over of 2. There's 1, there's 2. And then into the third to last, we're going to be doing a regular front post treble crochet. And then into the second to last, also a regular front post treble crochet. So insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. That is our first one. Yarn over twice into that second to last one. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And then this is what we should have so far. Once when we have this, we're going to close this row off so that it's not loosey-goosey out here. We're going to prepare for a half double, insert our hook into that last loop that we have in the previous row with a half double crochet, just like that. And then once when we have this row, we're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then we're going to go in just putting 1 half double crochet into every loop. So basically every even numbered row is just going to be working back to basically the beginning so that we can start up our cable section. So every odd number row is a detail row. Every even number row is just half double crochet, is basically just trying to get us back to the beginning. So let's work our way all the way down, putting 1 half double crochet into each of these loops. Now we just made our way all the way down with our half double crochet rows. We're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and now we're going to do more of our detail rows. So we're going to prepare for a half double. We're always going to start off with putting 1 half double into that very first loop that we have. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, all 3. And this next section is going to be kind of the same kind of knot. So let's just stick with each other for a little bit. But into these, I can't say it. It's DTR in the pattern, double treble crochets in the previous row. We're going to be putting regular front post treble crochets into these guys. So we're just going to be yarning over twice, and these 2 first ones are just going to be shooting straight up. So we're going to pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then same thing into the next one. Insert, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then this next part is going to be a little bit tricky, so we're going to do this slowly. But we're going to go in with double treble crochets, but we're going to be skipping these next 2 posts and then jumping over to these last 2 posts that we have right here. Normal stuff, right? So we're going to yarn over 3 times, skipping these next 2 posts, going into the third to last post that we have right here. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, 2, and then 2. And then we just have 1 more left to go into, so yarn over 3 times into that second to last post, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now, once when we get here, we do need to help this little crisscross section out, but instead of going over the way that we typically did, we're actually going to be going underneath through this little gap that we just made for ourselves. So that can be a little tricky, so we're going to do that together slowly. Excuse me. But what? All right, I'm back. I had to get a drink of water. I was doing so well. But anyways, once we get here, like I said, we're going to be doing double treble crochets into this gap that we had just left for ourselves. So we're going to still be doing a yarn over of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. And then what I like to do is basically just this little chunk that I have, just pull it back or fold it down as much as I can so that I can see the 2 posts that we're going to be going into, and it is these 2 that's available. And then from here we're going to, this part is going to be a pain in the butt. Hold on. yarn over 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to bring our hook back, making sure that none of our yarn overs come back. And this is our first front post, so we're going to go into that post with a double treble crochet that is also a front post. So we're going to yarn over, just pull through that, and then from here everything's going to be the same. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is our first one. As you guys can see, if I'm going to put this back, it's starting to pull a little bit this way, which is exactly what we want. But we do have one more to go into, so let's do that together. We're going to yarn over 1, 2, 3 times. Make sure you hold that onto our hook because it can very easily fall off. We're just going to fold our work downwards a little bit, and then this is our next post that we're going to be going into. So all we're going to do is insert our hook behind that post, yarn over, pull through that 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And then if we want to tug our work the way it's supposed to actually be, we should have something that looks a little bit like this, which is looking pretty cool. But once when we get here, we just have one more loop left to go into. That's just going to be one regular half double crochet, just like that. And then we're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, put 1 half double crochet into that first loop that we have. And since now we're working into an even numbered row, we're going to be working all the way down, just putting 1 half double crochet into every loop. So as a collective, this is what our work should be looking like, and we're about to start working on row 7 and onward, but it's actually just going to be a repeat of rows 3 and row 5. So all of our odd numbers are going to be our cable rows, and all of our even ones are just going to be our rows of half double crochet that get us back to where we want to be. So let's just do the next set of these guys together, and then from there I'll let you guys keep going with the length that you guys need. So what we're going to do is do a chain up of 2. We're going to flip our work and put 1 half double crochet into that first loop that we have, and then from here we are still doing our double treble crochets. So we're going to be doing a yarn over of 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to be going into the 4th and 5th posts that we have, so basically just into these 2 middle ones. So we're going to insert our hook behind that post, yarn over, pull through that post, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And once we have that, we're going to be doing another one. So they're always going to be done in sets of 2 that are exactly the same, just one after another. So let's do another 1, 2, 3, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, 2, and 2. And then from here, we're going to be going across. So we're going to yarn over 3 times, going back into these 2 loops that we skipped, and we're going to be going over these posts that we just made for ourselves. So go into that post, yarn over, pull through that 1, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and we have 1 more to go. So yarn over 3 times into that post, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 2. And then we do have these posts left to go into, just these last 2, and this is just going to be regular front post treble crochets, which is what I'm very comfortable with saying. So yarn over twice, insert our hook into that 3rd to last post, pull through 2, 2, and 2. Let's do the next one, insert, pull through 2, 2, 2, and 2. And now this is what things are looking like. Got a nice little, tiny little braid going on. But from here, we're going to half double crochet into that last loop that we have in this row, do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then go down, putting 1 half double crochet into every loop that we have, going all the way back down our work. So this is what we should have once we have worked our way back down with half double crochets, and we are now going to be working on row 9, which is a repeat of row 5. So let's start that off together, and then after that, it's just going to be repeated from there. So we're going to do a chain up of 2. We're going to prepare for half double crochet, insert our hook into that first loop with a half double crochet. Once we get here, the first thing we're going to do is do 2 treble crochets into these first 2 posts that we have. So yarn over twice into that first post, yarn over, pull through, pull through, pull through. One more time, since they are all worked in sets of 2, pull through, pull through, pull through, pull through. Now it's time to do our double treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over 1, 2, 3 times. Then we're going to be skipping the next 2 posts that we have and then going into the 2 posts that we have right after that. So insert, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And we're going to do that one more time. So yarn over 1, 2, how many is that? 1, 2, 3 into that next post, pull through, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now this part is the tricky part where we're doing our double treble crochets, but we're going underneath these gaps. So we're going to yarn over 1, 2, 3 times. Make sure you hold your yarn down. We're going to just slightly, not slightly, but we're going to actually fold our work down a little bit so that we can see the 2 posts that we have to go into, which is this one right here and this one right here. And then all we're going to do is go into that first one with a front post double treble crochet. So pull through, 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And we have just one more to go into. Since this first one is done, it should be just a little bit easier, but let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Fold our work down a little bit and then into the next post that we have that's available. We're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. That's not 2, 2, and then the last 2. That was not pretty looking. And then once we get here, we're just going to tug this out a little bit just so that it looks the way it's supposed to look. And then we're going to put 1 half double crochet into the last loop that we have in this row. And then we should be good with our pattern. Let's take a look at what we have. Ta-da! This is what we should have when we have our first 9 rows of our cabling. And it's basically just being repeated after that. All of the odd number rows that we have, I cannot speak today, all of the odd number rows that we have is actually going to be our cabling. When we're working our way back with our even number rows, it's going to be half double crochets, and it's basically just repeating rows 3 and row 5, and then we're just going to keep doing this until we have the length of the top that we want. Keeping in mind that this first row that we did is actually going to be at the base of our neck because this is going to be at the very bottom of the turtleneck, and so right now we're just working on the length. Keeping in mind that we will have a bottom border as well, and I actually don't know how many rows I'm going to have, so I'm going to have to let you guys know in the next clip. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave any comments or questions, whatever you guys got for me, in the comment section. Or if you guys do want to grab the pattern for this, that is linked in the description as well. But other than that, I will let you guys have at it, and then we'll move on from there. Alright, so I am back with the length of my cable stitch section, and like I said before, that goes from the base of my neck down to where I want the bottom of this top to be, which is a little bit beneath my bust because we will have a bottom border as well. And just to let you guys know, I have a total of 28 rows, and that comes out to about 12 inches or 30 centimeters, but this is going to be all dependent on you guys and what you guys want. You guys make this like a full length shirt if you want. It doesn't need to be cropped, completely up to you. But anyways, once when we get here, we did not cut and tie because we're actually going to start working on this side panels now. I know that this is really unconventional, but this is just the only way that I figured to do it. So once when we get here, we're actually just going to be going into each of these side half double crochet rows with single crochet, and then we're going to work outwards this way, and then we're going to do the same thing over here once when we're done with this side. So I'm just going to vaguely talk you guys through it right before we get into it. I feel like that helps sometimes. But for the first little bit, we're just going to be going in with back loop slip stitches because we do want this to be tighter bodycon-ish, and that gives us a lot of stretch. So we're going to be going back and forth with back loop slip stitches until, since this is going to be the base of our neck, until this reaches just a little bit past the base of our neck, because we are going to have a little shoulder, I guess cufflet on top of our shoulder as well, but I'll let you guys know my measurements. But we're just going to keep doing that until we have a good section on our shoulder. And then once when we have that, we're just going to start cutting at a decrease down here so that it can reach underneath our underarm for that little cutlet. What did I call it? Cufflet? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so we're just going to keep doing that. And then once we have this side, we're going to do the same thing that we just did here along this side, but, you know, just not attached. We're going to have to cut and tie. But So we're going to get started on this section first since our yarn is on the side. It doesn't matter if you guys are on either side. The back loop slip stitches are the same on both ends. So all we're going to do to prepare for the back loop slip stitch section is we're going to do a chain up of 1, and now we're going to be working down the length of what we have for our cable stitch section. And all of these are side half double crochets. So we're going to be alternating between one single crochet and sorry, I didn't mean to flip you off. Between one single crochet and 2 single crochets into each side half double crochet row. So let's just do that together. We're going to insert our hook into this first side half double crochet loop that we have. These are pretty easy to see. Just need to separate them. But once we get here, we're going to go in with 1 single crochet. And then this is our next side half double crochet row, and there's going to be 2 single crochets that go into this guy. So here is 1 and here is 2. And then here is the next side half double crochet. Just 1 goes into there. Next side half double crochet, 2 goes into there. And we're going to keep doing this all the way down. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with our single crochets, going all the way down the length of our cable stitch section. And from here, this is where the fun begins, which is all of our back loop slip stitches. So it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to be doing it for a decent chunk. I'm just going to show you guys how to do a few of them, and I'm going to show you guys where you guys are going to stop-ish. It's all going to be dependent on you, but where I'm going to stop basically. But to work our way up to the next row, we're just going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, which I already did. We're just going to be going into each back loop with a slip stitch. So we're just going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. Let's do that one more time. We're going to insert into that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. One more, back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. And this next part is all going to be dependent on you and your measurements, and also what kind of look or style y'all are going for with this top. But I'm just going to visually point to where it's going to go. So basically what we have right here, this is in the middle of the base of our neck. This comes up really high because this is going to have a mock neck as well. And then from here, we're just going to go outwards with back loop slip stitches until this reaches just a little bit past the base of your neck, but not quite at the tip of your shoulder, because we will have that little sleeve cufflet, whatever I called it earlier as well. So I'm going to keep going with just a solid block of back loop slip stitches, but when we put this up to ourselves, be sure that when you do, you guys are stretching it out, because these back loop slip stitches have some stretch to it. That's why we're using this stitch, so that it can fit your form quite nicely. So go ahead and keep doing this. I'll let you guys know my row count in the next clip, and then we can move on from there. So this is what I have when I have a decent portion of our back loop slip stitches all done up. And this goes past the base of my neck by just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, and that is perfect, because keep in mind we are going to have one of these on this side as well. But when we have this, I actually put this up to myself, and then I inserted my stitch marker right where our underarm starts. And I know it's not going to be anywhere near our underarm, but that's what the stretchiness is for. That's why we're using the back loop slip stitches. And then also so that we can get a little curve for that little cuff. And then from there, it doesn't matter what side we ended on, we're just going to do back loop slip stitches all the way up until we get to our underarm portion. And the measurement that I have for my underarm portion from the bottom, I have a total of 7 inches or 18 centimeters, but this is going to be different for everyone, so go ahead and just adjust it to whatever you guys need. But this next row that we're going to be going into is more back loop slip stitches, but we're going to go all the way up until we reach our stitch marker. We are not going to be doing a decrease into that first one. So just to get this started, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then we're going to be putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every loop until we make our way up to our stitch marker. So we just have 1 more back loop left to go into, and that is the one that our stitch marker is in. So now we can take this out and finish off this back loop slip stitch. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to be doing a decrease into every other row. So this is our first row of non-decreases, but once we do our chain up of 1 and then work our way down towards the base, we will be doing one. So all that is doing a chain up of 1. We're going to flip our work, and then into this first back loop, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through. And we're also going to be going into the next back loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through. Once we get here, we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on our hook. And that is how we are going to do our decreases. And like I said, it's only going to be for every other row. But for the rest of this row, we're just going to be going all the way down with 1 back loop slip stitch into every loop. And then once we make it to the end, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then since we're coming up towards our underarm portion, we will not be doing a decrease. We're just going to be putting 1 into every loop. from there, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and working down towards our base, we're going to be doing a decrease into the first 2 loops. But from here, I'm just going to go all the way down with back loop slip stitches, do a chain up of 1, work my way back, not doing any decreases, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do a decrease together just one more time. So I've made it all the way back down to the end of our underarm portion right here, and we didn't do any decreases. And since we're going to do a chain up of 1 and then work our way back down towards the base, we are going to do another decrease. So we're just going to get that started together, and then I'll let you guys go from there. So what we're going to do is do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then into this first back loop that we have, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and then into the next back loop, we're going to yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And then once we have that, we're just going to continue doing our back loop slip stitches going all the way back down, remembering to only decrease into every other row. And then we're going to keep doing this until this underarm portion reaches our side. And then once we have that, we're going to cut and tie and do the same thing on the other side. But I'll meet you guys back once we have this chunk on the side so that we can talk about measurements, sizing, and then do the other side together. So this is our finished side panel that we have, and just to let you guys know, this little decrease portion that I have a total of 14 rows, and then this entire piece that we just made, I have a total of 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and that is it not stretched. Just remember that it stretches quite a bit once when you actually put it up to yourself to make sure that you guys are getting the right measurement. But once when we have one side done, we're basically going to do the same thing on the other side. But the only tip that I have for you guys is just make sure that you guys start on the same side that you guys started this side on. So remember how the first row was a row of single crochet? We obviously needed to end on the bottom. This is our bottom. We're going to be inserting our hook into this bottom corner. We're going to go in with our single crochets, remembering to alternate between 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets into each side half double crochet. And then from there, we're just going to keep going back and forth with back loop slip stitches, the same amount of rows that we have on this side. And then we're going to do the same thing once we get to this underarm portion. Whatever measurement you guys have here, go ahead and insert your stitch marker into there and then decrease into every other row. And then once when we're done, everything should be looking nice and clean. And then I'll meet you guys back once we have both of these panels done so that we can work on the back piece. So we've just finished up going in with our entire front panel that we have. And we now need to do the back panel, which is going to be the same thing minus the braid in the middle. So that's going to be constructed just a little bit differently. I'm just going to point some things out to you and then we can get started. But the first thing that I'm going to say is that the number count will be different for everyone. So we're basically just going to want to count the amount of loops that we have on the end of our last row of our decrease section right here. Then from there, we're going to take that number, and then I'm going to show you guys how we're going to increase from there. And then we're going to have the same amount of rows when it comes to our increases. And then from there, we're going to have a chain that shoots straight up. That's going to be where our shoulder portion is, or the part that connects the front to the back. And then from here, it's going to be exactly the same, just regular back loop slip stitches with no increases, no decreases. And then to end it all off, we're going to close off the other side of it with another underarm portion with some decreases, just like how we did the front portion like this. So the difference is that it's going to start off with an increase. So let's go ahead and do this one together. I'm going to give you guys my numbers and my measurements, but you guys can go ahead and adjust it to what you guys have. So to get started on our back portion, I have counted the amount of loops that I have in my last row of our decrease section, and I have 21 loops. So I'm going to take my same yarn and our same 6mm hook and start off by making a chain of 21, but you guys go ahead and adjust it from there. Now that we have our chain, we are going to block off that last chain. We're going to do a chain up of 1, and then this first row is just going to be a row of slip stitches. So into that second chain that we have from our hook, or the one that we blocked off, we're going to go in with a slip stitch. And we're just going to keep going down, putting 1 slip stitch into every chain that we have. And then once we make it to the end, we're going to do our increase, but I'll show you guys how to do that once when we get there. We are at the end of our first row of slip stitches. What we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then into that first back loop, go in with a slip stitch. And then from here, we're just going to continue putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every loop that we have until we get to the end of this row. And then we're going to be doing our increase, but I'll show you guys how to do that once when we get there. We are now at the end of this row, and we're going to be doing our increase from here, but how we're going to do our increase is just a little bit different. From here, we're going to do a chain out of 2, we're going to flip our work, and then in order to increase, we're just going to be inserting our hook into that second chain that we have from our hook with another back loop slip stitch. So from here, we're going to be ignoring this loop that's right next to our work, insert our hook into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. And that is how we increase for this increase section. And doing it this way also matches the way that we decreased in the front portion, because we only did a decrease into every other row, and that is exactly what we're doing here. And we're just going to keep doing this until we have the same amount of rows that we have in the front portion. So I will keep going until I have 14 rows, but you guys can go ahead and adjust it to your work, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can go up with this shoulder portion that we'll have in the back. So we've made our way back down with back loop slip stitches, and I just wanted to remind you guys just one more time how we increase this section. So once when we have this portion, we're now at our increase side. Once when we get here, we're going to do our chain out of 2, flip our work, and then from here we're going to be inserting our hook into that second loop that we have from our hook. So into that back loop, we're going to yarn over, pull through everything. Once we have that, we're going to continue doing back loop slip stitches, and then now we can continue going down with the same amount of rows that we have in the front portion, and then I will meet you guys back. So we're back with the first portion of our back piece, and it's basically just this little increase section that we have right over here. And if you guys want to lay it on top, just to make sure that it fits perfectly. And once when we get here, all we're going to do is just do a chain up that matches the same amount of loops that we have from this portion in our back. So count from this first chain that we have right here all the way up, and go ahead and make a chain of that number. Just to let you guys know, I have a chain of 14. So since we are up here at the top, if you guys ended on the bottom, that's totally fine. Go ahead and cut and tie and then reattach up top if you guys don't want to do back loop slip stitches back up to this corner. But now that I am here, oh no, I just took one apart. But now that I'm here, I'm just going to make a chain of 14, but y'all can adjust to whatever number you guys have. And now that I have my chain, I'm going to block off that last chain. We're going to do a chain up of 1. And from here, we're just going to do more back loop slip stitches going all the way down. But this portion is our solid block, so we're not going to do anything fancy here. Just do back loop single crochets going up and down. When we make it to the end, obviously do a chain up of 1, flip over, and continue doing the same thing. And we're going to continue doing it until we have the same amount of rows as we have into this front portion that we have right here. Obviously in the front we have our cable stitches, but our cable stitches was actually in increments of 8. So however many rows you guys have on the outside here, you're going to take that number, add it to the amount of rows that you guys have over here, and then whatever that number is, you're going to add 8 on top of that, and that's going to be however many rows you guys are going to make for your back portion. But go ahead and just do that. That's going to be super duper simple, and then I'll meet you guys back once when we are ready to do our little decrease portion down here. So we are back, and we should have a little something that looks like this. I'm actually going to talk to you guys about this last row that we have. But basically, we do want to have our work end on the bottom so that we can just go up with our decreases so that we don't have to cut and tie. But if we did it the same way that we did the front portion, it will most likely end up at the top. So if we do end up at the top, we're going to have to cut and tie and then reattach our yarn at the bottom. And I will 100% say that I hate cutting and tying. So what I'm actually going to do is just cut one row so that I don't end up at the top. So as an example, I added these rows that I had here, these rows that I had here, and then the 8 that goes in between. And so I had a total of 36 rows. So for this section right here, I'm actually only going to do 35, but you guys can go one over or go one under like me, but I'm deciding to go one under so that it can be a little bit tighter, because this is going to be bodycon. So you guys can adjust from there, but that is my tip and what I'm going to do. But if you guys absolutely need it to be even, then go for it, because I agree. I like things to be even, but I also hate cutting and tying a little bit more. So I have 35 rows right here, and I only did that so that I can end at the bottom. But once we do that, now we're just going to go up with this little underarm portion, but this is going to be decreased the same way that we did the front. So I'm just going to be inserting my stitch marker, and then I'm going to keep going back and forth until I have the same amount of rows as I have on the front portion for underarm section. So I will insert my stitch marker, and then I'll meet you guys back just so we can start this off together. So I've inserted my stitch marker, and what we're going to do from here is just do our decreases into every other row. So we're just going to start this off together, and then from there I'll leave you guys alone. But basically what we're going to do from here, since we now have our stitch marker in, we're going to do a chain up of 1. I've already done that. We're going to flip our work and just do 1 row of back loop slip stitches. Sorry, I was going to say double crochets for some reason. Back loop slip stitches all the way down until we hit our stitch marker. And then once we get to that point, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, decrease into the first and second, and then work our way back with back loop slip stitches. So let's just start this off, then I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. We're going to go in, putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every loop. Okay, so we've made our way back. We have gone all the way down until we reached our stitch marker, and then when we have that, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then into the first 2 loops we're going to be doing a decrease. So into that first back loop, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 3, and we're just going to keep doing that all the way down until we have the same amount of rows that we have on this side, or if you guys want to take a look at this section, until you guys have the same amount of rows over here. And then once when we're done, our work should mimic the front and should be able to just lay on top of it perfectly like that. So go ahead and finish off this decrease section, remembering we're only decreasing into every other row, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so these are our 2 pieces all finished up, and everything is looking good, nice and even. If you guys want to lay them on top of each other just to double check. Everything should even out except for the back piece because mine is just a smidge bit smaller, but everything else should even out. But once when we're here, we're actually just going to go in with a side seam along the bottom right here just so we can close this up on both sides, and then from there we're going to try it on and figure out the chain length that we need from one corner to the next, and then we can get started on something else after that. But we're just going to seam up the sides together really quick. And right before we get started with seaming this up, I just wanted to give you guys a really quick tip, which is just making sure that our cabling detail is on the inside. So from the back portion, it doesn't matter because there's no front or back, it's the same on both sides, but make sure that the cabling is facing inwards and is being sandwiched by the back. And we're doing that so that once we flip it inside out, the seams are going to be on the inside of our work. And how we do that is pretty simple, pretty much the same way that we seam up everything. So we're just going to be inserting our hook into the front panel and then inserting our hook in through that back panel into that corner loop. We are going to grab our yarn, make a slip knot, and insert that onto our hook. Once we have that, we're going to pull through everything. And we're going to do a chain up of 1. And then from here, we're just going to sandwich everything going all the way down. So let's do the first one. Insert your hook into the first available loop into the front panel, and then into the next available loop in the back panel. And then from here, I do like to work my ends in at the same time. So all that is just folding it over the loops that we just inserted our hook into. But once we have that, we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do that just one more time. So into that next available loop in the front panel, and then the next available loop in the back panel. I'm going to hold my tails over, which you guys don't have to if you don't want to. It's just how I like to work. But from here, just yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to keep doing this all the way down. So we have just finished up going in with our side seams, and now we're actually going to start working on our little shoulder cuffling, whatever I called it earlier in the video. And I have already done one side just so you guys can get a visual of what we're looking at, but this is actually super duper simple. But the first thing that we're going to have to do is actually try this on, and then from there we're going to need to measure from this corner. It's going to go up and over your shoulder, and then measure over to this corner because we're going to first need to make a chain that goes from here to here. And I have already measured mine out. Mine came out to about 3 inches or 9 centimeters, and that comes out to about 10 chains. So that's what I will be doing right now. I'm just going to insert my hook into this corner. This part is super duper simple. Insert, and then whatever measurement you guys have, go ahead and make that chain and then slip stitch it into that back loop. So I have my chain, and what I'm going to do from here is insert my hook into this back corner. We're going to yarn over, pull through everything, and now this is attached. And then now that we're here, we're going to want to go in with a row of single crochet, but we're also going to want to make sure that our work is flipped right side out because we want this ribbing along the front side. And if we go along the opposite side, then we're going to have to do front post stitches, and that would be, it could be done, but just be a little less annoying if we do it this way. So make sure that your work is flipped right side out. But once when we get here, all we're going to do is our first row is going to be a row of single crochets. So we're just going to be putting one single crochet into every loop that we have going down this way. And then once we reach this little underarm portion, I'm going to show you guys that I'm only going to be working into every other row. So for an example, I had 14 rows right here for our underarm portion, but I'm only going to be going in with 7 double crochets. And the loops that we're going to go into are actually super duper simple. But before we get into that, we're just going to go in with one single crochet working down this little shoulder chunk, I guess we can call it, is what we usually call it here. And we're just going to do this all the way down until we reach our little underarm portion. Okay, so now we are here at our underarm portion, and then we're just going to be going into basically every other big loop that we have. So I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but we're going to have these little divots right where our slip stitch rows are. So there's one that sticks out and a little divot on the inside, and then where the divot is on the inside, there's going to be a pretty prominent loop that we can go into, and those are going to be the loops that I'm working into, giving us only half of these single crochets to slip stitch rows that we have. Sorry, I cannot speak, but let's just do this together. So this is the first loop that I have, so I'm just going to be going into there with 1, there's the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And we're doing it that way so that our top can still remain tight when we wear it, because we are going to be going in with this cuff right here. We just want to make sure that everything fits nicely. But however many loops we have on this side, we're basically just going to repeat it along this side, and then we're also going to be working our way up to the chain and then slip stitch into this first loop that we made for ourselves, and then we're going to have a complete single crochet row for our armhole, and then we're going to cut and tie once we get up here, reattach our yarn into the bottom, and then we can get started on this little cuff that we have. So we just went all the way across with our first row of single crochet for our border, and then what we're going to do from here, we cut and tied, we're going to go in with this little chunk right here. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about it really quick. We're going to be inserting our hook into this bottom loop that we have that's somewhere near the seam. There's not going to be a specific one that's at the seam, but we're just going to have to eyeball it. But once when we get here, we're actually just going to be going in with rows of single crochet to half double to double, and we're doing that so they can get thicker when it comes to the top of the shoulder. And then also we're going to be going into the back loops so that we can get this nice little ribbing effect right here. But this portion is going to be different for every person. It all depends on the size that you have, the kind of look that you're going for. Maybe you don't want it as thick as mine, maybe you do, maybe you want it thicker, who knows. But once when we get here, what we're going to do is just eyeball it. So a quick tip is what I did when it comes to this underarm portion, this increase decrease section, whatever this is, I like to go in with single crochets, and then when it comes to this section up here, this little shoulder chunk, I like to split this in half. So I have single crochets here, and then half double crochets to about here, and then double crochets that go up and over your shoulder, and then on the back side I repeat the same thing. So let's not pretend, let's just show you. Double crochets all the way down until about halfway, half double crochets until we get to this, excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. Okay, back. And so half double crochets until we get to this underarm portion, and then single crochets until we get back down here. And then from here we slip stitch, do a chain up of 1, and then continue working in the same way that we were already going so we can get this type of ribbing and not the other kind. So no flipping this portion. So let's just do the first row together, and then every other row for however many rows you guys want after that is going to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is insert my hook into this bottom loop that we have, do a chain up of 1. That was an insert. Now we're going to do a chain up of 1, and then from here we're just going to go in with our first row of single crochets, no back loops. So we're going to insert here until we get to this portion that shoots straight up. So we are now here, which is our shoulder chunk, I guess is what we're going to call it. And from here, I'm just going to eyeball it and go up about halfway with half double crochets. And we have about half of our shoulder chunk finished up with half double crochets. And then from here, we're just going to be going in with double crochets that go up and over the shoulder. And then we're going to stop about halfway into the shoulder chunk on the back side. And now I've made it all the way up and over our shoulder with our double crochets, and now back down this way. We're going to be going in with half double crochet, so let's do that. And then to close off this bottom section, we're just going to be going in with single crochets all the way down till we get to this first one, and then we're going to connect with a slip stitch. And we are back. This is what the first row should look like, and everything's looking pretty good. So now we're just going to go in with the first few stitches with each other, but it's going to be exactly the same thing that we did in the first row. So same number count, same everything, but we're going to be going into the back loops to get this ribbing. So let's just do the first one together. We're going to do a chain up of 1, and then into this first back loop, go in with a single crochet. And we're basically just going to keep doing this all the way around until we switch out to our half double crochets, switch out to back loop half double crochets, same thing for the double crochets, switch out for the back loop double crochets, and then just keep doing this for as many rows as you guys want. As you guys can see, I went in with 4 rows. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I went ahead and cut after that, but you guys can do whatever you guys please, but go ahead and do this, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can get started on the rest of this top. So we're now all finished up with our little cap sleeve, and if you guys don't already know, once you guys have one done, go ahead and do the other. But now, before we get started on the turtleneck, which will be the last and also extremely easy, what we're going to do is actually just go in along the bottom with a row of single crochet first, and then just make a decent sized bottom border around the bottom, and then this one will be all good. So what we're going to do is grab our same hook, and I like to insert my hook into any one of the loops that's near a seam. Doesn't matter which one, so I'm just going to pick this one. And then we're just going to pull through. And then if you guys remember how we did this little underarm decrease section when it came to our cuff, what we're going to do, I don't know if it's a cuff, but anyways, what we're going to do is basically the same thing. We're going to be skipping every other row so that this can cinch in just a little bit. I know that this is already bodycon, but if you guys try this on, then the bottom of it is kind of loose. So we just want to help give you guys that shape. So let's do this together. I know that I inserted my hook behind this seam, so we're just going to have to skip a loop and then go into the seam, which doesn't have an actual loop for us to go into, so we're just going to have to find one. But once we find it, we're going to go in with a single crochet, and then now we're at our regular back loop slip stitch rows. And then we're going to find those same loops that we went into when we did our underarm portion. So it's going to be every other row again. So this is the first one, insert, and single crochet, and then we're just going to keep doing this all the way around. Once we make it to the end, we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that we went into, and then we're going to go in with the length of our bottom border. But a really quick tip that I have for just doing this section is when you guys go in with your single crochet, make sure you guys aren't pulling it too tight, because then it'll cinch it in, which is what we want, but it won't give you a lot of give once when you try to like put it over your shoulders. So as an example of pulling it too tight, here, let's get to the next one so that the tail isn't in the way. So this is going to be the next loop that we go into, right? So when we go into there, we go in with our single crochet. I actually don't know if anyone else does this, but I do this. But once when I pull through, I actually like pull it down tight like that, which is not what we want to do. That's actually giving me a lot of problems in a lot of my work. Let me know if you guys do it too, because it is not okay. Like I've had to do a lot of pieces over because I like to pull my work so tight. But anyways, yeah, go ahead and just keep doing this all the way down, remembering not to pull too tight, and then slip stitch into that first loop that we made for ourselves, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we made our way all the way around with our row of single crochet, and at this point you guys are going to need to figure out how long you guys want your bottom band to be, and I have already figured mine out off camera, and I want mine to be about 3 inches, or that comes out to about 7 centimeters, so that is roughly 9 chains. So that's what I'm going to do here. We're going to count out 1, 2, 3, well, I'm going to count out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once when we have our chain, what we're going to do is actually block off that last chain, and we're going to go in with a chain out of 3 from there. So block that off, chain out 1, 2, 3, prepare for a double crochet, and then into that loop that we blocked off, or the 4th one from our hook, we're going to be going in with a double crochet. Oh, that kind of worked out. There we go, double crochet. And from here we're working down the chain that we just made, putting 1 double crochet into every loop that we made. So go ahead into all of those double crochets, and then we'll meet each other back so that we can slip stitch into the base and then work on the bottom border from there. So our first row of double crochets is looking pretty good, and now we're just going to slip stitch it into the bottom base that we have. So what we're going to do is count out the next 2 available loops. So here's 1 and then here's 2. We're going to slip stitch into that second loop to close off this row. And then since we have that, we do need to work our way up to the next row. So we're going to slip stitch up the next 2 to work our way up, flip our work, and then now we're going to be working into this double crochet row that we just made for ourselves again. So we're going to be going in with back loop double crochets. So prepare for a double crochet, go into that back loop with a double crochet, and just keep going all the way down with back loop double crochets. Once we make it to the end, do a chain up of 3, flip your work, and then work our way back doing back loop double crochets. We're going to slip stitch into the second available loop that we have in our base to close off that row, and then slip stitch up the next 2 loops to work our way up to the next row. And we're going to keep going back and forth just like that all the way around until we don't have any more loops left. So we've just made our way all the way around. You guys can't even see it. We just made our way all the way around with our bottom band, and we don't have any more loops left to go into, so we're just going to seam this up together. But the seam is going to be exactly the same way that we seamed up the side, so we're just going to do a couple. But I did want to say that if you guys ended up having an odd number of single crochet rows when we went in with our first row of single crochets, that is totally fine. Something that you can do to combat that so that you guys don't lose out on that extra loop is actually just going in with a row of back loop single crochets, so that you guys can fill that in, which I didn't have to do, but as you guys can see, this looks like there's nothing in there, but this last row is in there. But all you guys need to do is just go in with your last single crochet row if you guys need to, and then just close it off from there. But everything from there should be the same. But once when we get here, our work is faced right side out. So what I'm going to do is actually, just for now, don't hate me, just flip this over like this so that our seams can all be faced the same direction, because I don't like flipping my work completely inside out. But anyways, what I'm going to do from here is insert my hook into one of the corners, if I can, grab my working yarn, and from here we're just going to pull through and chain up 1 to secure. And then we're just going to make sure that our seam is faced the same direction if you guys aren't flipping it completely inside out. And from here we're going to insert our hook into the first available loop in the front panel, and then the next available loop in the back panel, then single crochet. And we're going to keep doing this all the way down until we get to the end. Once we don't have any more loops left, go ahead and cut and tie. And by the way, this is the same if you guys are starting from up here as well. Just regular single crochets going into the front panel and the back panel at the same time, and then cut. But once when we've made our way all the way down, we just have one more thing to do, which is the mock neck, my favorite part. So I'll meet you guys back once when we are done with this section. So we've just finished up going in with our seam, closing up the bottom border along the bottom. And then once when we have that, we're going to go in with our mock neck. So the first thing I want to do is actually flip my work over, but this is a preference. I like to work into somewhere in the back just so that you don't really see a seam that much. And I like to hide it off to the side a little bit. So I'm actually going to be inserting my hook into this corner that I have right here. And then we are going to go in just with a row of single crochet for this first row. So what I'm going to do is insert my hook, pull through, chain up 1. And then from here, we're just going to go all the way around with a row of single crochet. Now, this is going to be a little tricky. So what we're going to do is actually just continue going in with our basically every other side slip stitch row with a single crochet, but you guys are definitely going to want to try this on once when we're done with just the single crochet row, just to make sure that it fits over your head, because obviously it needs to fit. But you could possibly make it too small depending on how wide your shoulder portion is, so go ahead and just adjust it from there. It's not necessary that it goes in through every other side slip stitch row, but you do want to make sure that it is even. So that's my tip for this section. But what I'm going to do is just go in, putting one single crochet into every loop that we have when it comes to the shoulder portion. That's fine. And then once when I get here, I will be going into every other row, but you guys can adjust from there if you guys need. So I'll meet you guys back once when we have our first row of single crochets all finished up, and then we can go in with the length of our mock neck. So we just made our way all the way around with our row of single crochet, and now we're going to just start working on the length of the mock neck. So from here, we're just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that we made. And like I said before, I hope you guys tried this on, and mine actually fits perfectly. And when I had it on, I actually measured up to see how high I wanted my mock neck to be as well. And I had a total of about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So that comes out to roughly 15 chains. So that's what I'm going to make right now. Once we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that second loop from our hook, or the one that we just blocked off, we're just going to be going in with slip stitches. And then from there, just put 1 slip stitch into every loop that we have going back down our chain. Once we make it to the base, we're going to be slip stitching into that next loop to close off this row, and then just do the rest of this with back loop slip stitches, just like how we did the body, so that this can have a nice stretch to it, but also can cinch in at the neck, which is kind of funny to say because I usually say cinch in at the waist. But keep doing this all the way down. I'll show you guys how we're going to close this off and then start up our next row, and then I'll just let you guys go from there. So we just finished up going all the way down with our first row of slip stitches, and how we're going to close off this row is by slip stitching into that next available loop that we have. So we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything. And then once we have that, to work our way up to the next row, we're just going to be slip stitching up that next loop, flip our work, and then we're going to be going into all of these loops doing back loop slip stitches. So into this first one, we're going to make sure that our hook goes into that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and that is it. We're just going to keep doing this, going all the way down. Once we make it to the end, we're going to chain up 1, flip our work, and then work our way back down again, doing more back loop slip stitches around the entirety of our neck hole. Once we get back, we'll meet each other so that we can seam this up, and then we'll pretty much be all done. So I'll meet you guys back. So we've just made our way all the way around with our mock neck, and we don't have any more loops left to go into, so we're just going to seam it all up together. So how we're going to do that is inserting our hook in through both of our front and back panel corners. And from here, we're just going to pull our work through, do a chain up of 1. And this is exactly the same way that we've been doing everything else. I did flip my work inside out just to make sure that all the seams were on the right side. But once when we're here, we're just going to insert our hook into the next available loop in the front panel, and also into the next available loop in the back panel, and we're going to single crochet. And that is pretty much it. We're just going to keep doing this all the way down until we don't have any more loops left. We're going to chain up 1 and cut. We just finished up seaming up our mock neck, and we are actually all done. The last thing that we have to do is just weave in all of our ends. This is our super cute cable stitch crop top that I will actually never be taking off because it's so adorable. There is a pattern to follow along. The link is in the description if you want to grab that. Or you can enter this week's pattern giveaway by letting us know what was the greatest advice you've ever received and from who. Good luck to everyone who enters. Also, give this video a thumbs up and let us know what you liked about it. But if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, but let me know how we can improve. If you love it, be sure to hit that bell so you know when there's new uploads for you, and also be sure to share us on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook, links down below. If you want to buy this piece or any other piece on the channel, links to Poshmark, Depop, and Etsy are down there too, along with the tools used. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one.